Welcome back to MVM. Today we have a Kickstarter preview. This one is for Thieves Den from Daily Magic Games. All I have to say is this thing has card drafting, it's got worker placement. That's two of our favorite things.
Absolutely. So it is a 2 to 5 player game. Very, very quick to play. Plays in probably about 45 minutes to 60 minutes. Each of the players is representing a master thief. And the idea here is that you're sending your hirelings out to the city in order to steal treasure, to bring them back to you, to gain the most prestige. The game board in the center is going to house a variety of different worker placement spots, but it's also going to house the treasures and the thieves. One of the many things I like about this game, has a closed economy. And by closed economy, I mean that depending upon the number of players, there's a very finite number of treasures and thieves in the game. Meaning there's going to be points in the game where you're supposed to collect something, and they're on other players' player boards, so you get nothing from them.
Yeah, the timing involved with that is really cool when it comes into play. Also on the board at the top, you're going to have these power tiles. These are going to be 3 tiles that are out at the beginning of every round. There's 1 for each round in each of these 3 spaces, so 9 in total. These are spots that you can go to not with a worker, but with actually a resource to claim that power.
There's 2 spots down here, 1 to give up thieves in order to gain treasures, and 1 to give up treasures in order to gain thieves. And the final spot down here is called the Witch's Hut. This is where you can give up a very specific type of treasure to gain prestige or victory points. The game is very simple to play. At the start of the game, each player, or at the start of every round, I should say, it's 3 rounds, so it's very fast.
Yeah.
Each player is going to be dealt 4 location cards. These are the drafting portion of the game. Now, looking at a location card, I'll explain these briefly. In the upper left-hand corner, you're going to see an icon. There's 1 of 5 different icons. These represent a variety of different locations like castles or swamps or whatever they may be. These are important because at the start of the game, everyone's going to be given a scheme card that tells you to collect a very specific pair of these in order to gain 2 victory points. For every 2, or every pair that you have, you gain 2. So not only you want to draft the right types of locations for the strategy that you're trying to incorporate, but also for the scheme that you may have at the start. In the upper right-hand corner is an owner bonus. So each of these locations are locations that you're drafting to place in front of you. They're locations that you can take your thief and place them on in order to gain some kind of bonus ability across the bottom. But also, other players' thieves can be placed on these locations, meaning you don't get nothing for it. You're going to get whatever's in this upper right-hand corner. So also you may want to draft for those. These locations come in 2 different types. There's ones that have worker placement spots, and there's ones that show a lightning bolt in the bottom. These, when they're drafted, you don't place them in front of you. They're simply placed off to the left-hand side, and you get whatever bonus it is. But let's go back to the draft. 4 cards. You're going to pick one of them. You're going to place it face down in front of you. Pass the other cards to your left or your right, depending upon which of the 3 rounds it is. And then everyone at the same time is going to reveal their first card, either doing the instant ability or placing in front of their player board.
Yeah, you're going to continue to do this until every player has 3 locations in front of them. This is called the scouting phase. Effectively, as the master thief, you are scouting out the different locations that you want to rob from, or steal from, rather. And you get 3 of those out, and then everyone puts their 4th card on the bottom of the stack.
Now, there may be occasions where you have 0 out. If you picked all 3 of them were instant abilities, you may have nothing in front of them. No matter what, these are your locations that you'll be collecting through the course of the game. The next thing that happens is, in turn order, you're going to do the thieving phase. This is where you're either using treasures that you've collected to do some kind of ability on the board, or to use your thieves in order to go out to different locations to enact the abilities of those. So say I'm the first player, I can take my thief and do 1 of 6 different types of things. I'll talk about the very first one. This is called stealing from a location. It's the easiest to talk about. A location are any of the location cards that are in front of the players. I can choose to go to my own and simply get the resources that are on the bottom of that particular card. However, I can go to other players' cards and get the abilities across the bottom of theirs. And these are either treasures, their abilities to be able to steal resources or move items around. But the owner of that card's always going to get some kind of bonus as well.
Yeah, exactly. You can also use your workers on the board itself. There's a few spaces where you can use workers. There's a few spaces where you can use actually some of the treasures that you've collected. The ones where you can use workers, though, this one right here, you have to put 2 workers there to get any 1 resource. So as you're collecting resources to do the various things that you need to do to score points, this is going to be somewhere in a pinch where you can use a couple workers to grab something.
The other main place that you're going to be using your workers is to be able to go to a fence. Now, across the right-hand side of the board, you're going to see 6 face-up fences. These are people. If you don't know what a fence is, they're kind of the middleman that allows you to kind of get rid of your burgled stuff to get actual coin or victory points in this case. Each of these different fences has a different denominations of treasures that they may need, as well as a number of victory points, plus an icon in the upper right-hand corner that is important for the end of the game. You're going to take this, you're going to place your worker on it in front of you, and you're going to place the treasures that are needed on this card. They're all going to stay there until the end of the round, but you will score your victory points immediately at that time. The next one you can do is you can simply go to one of the 3 different locations that require a treasure. I'll talk about the Witch's Hut. You simply give up one of these different types of treasures and you gain that many victory points. First come, first serve, it's once per round.
Yeah, and if you can't tell, there's a rarity system going there. The purple may be the easier of the resources to acquire that's only worth 1 point, whereas the greens go all the way up to 4 points. Again, like I mentioned at the top here, you've got these power tiles that there's 3 spaces. You can use a resource of any color to actually use one of those powers. And these powers range from all sorts of things where it's just straight up points, maybe a resource of your choice, swapping positions of some of the thieves that have been placed, some really interesting stuff in there. You can refresh some of the fences. So depending on what's out, and these are variable set up, there's 9 tiles in total. You can have 3 different ones each round.
The final space that you can go to is right down here. This is called Recruiting a Thief. You give up any 2 treasures that you so wish, and you're going to collect a thief. Now again, when we said finite, anytime you go to these locations, those resources aren't going back to this pool, they're going to the actual location. So if someone needs to collect those from a different location, there's nothing here. They don't get to collect it. They can't collect it from these spots up here, which is very interesting. Once everyone is done, and that's from passing, so you go around the table, people will take action. Some people will have more actions than others, depending on how many thieves they have, how much treasure they have up at that point. Once everyone passes, the next thing that's going to happen is you have a cleanup phase. Now, this is another interesting point about the game. All of the thieves that you have on the locations that are in front of you will come back to your seats. Your player board can house 6 thieves. There's any point in the game where you have to collect more than 6, they come back to the pool. The same thing with the treasures. You can only hold 8 treasures at any given time. Anything that's on a fence card, so say I use one of my thieves to do this fence, he goes back to the supply. So this is a cool dynamic in the game. If you're giving up your thieves to take actions on other players' cards, they get to collect that thief and use in the next round, which is very interesting.
Yeah, it plays a role in how you're even drafting your cards, because if you draft a lot of those cards that had the immediate effect, you're not going to have any locations in front of you, or fewer anyway, so you're going to have fewer workers the next round.
All the locations that were face up in front of you are then going to put face down to the left side of your board. That's for the scheme card or the set collection portion at the end of the game. And any of the fences that you completed that round are going to be placed on the right side face down on your player board. So you're going to do that for 3 rounds in a row, with a new tile flipping in each of the new rounds. You're going to redraft, you're going to go through the scout phase again, you're going to go through the cleaning phase 3 times until the end of the game. The majority of your victory points are going to be scored from the fences that you've collected through the game. However, there's 2 other ways to score victory points. One of those is from your scheme card. As we said at the very beginning, everyone's going to be given a particular scheme card, and you're just trying to gain locations through the course of the game that match the icons. For every set that you have, you get 2 victory points.
Yeah, the other way is going to be from the fence cards that you've collected. There's a chart here on the board that shows you points you're going to get if you have the most of a particular icon. We mentioned at the beginning, there are these icons in the upper right-hand corner of the fences. If you're the person with, in this case, the most goggles, you're going to get 5 points. And then there's different point values for the different icons.
That's basically the end of the game. The person with the most victory points is going to win. It's a very, very simple game to play. Again, one of the main draws for me was the closed economy. I loved, when we were playing the game, there's so many times where someone would go to a location and they'd say, hey, you know, I'm going to collect this from you, but when I collect this, there's no yellow left for you to collect. So it serves you no purpose. Yeah, you'll get my thief by the end of the round, but I'm getting some huge benefit from that particular card.
Yeah, there's some interesting timing for sure, as well as the fact, and I know we jokingly said at the beginning there's worker placement and card drafting, and who doesn't love that? But they've done a really good job of combining those things here and offering a little bit more meat than you would expect from a game that does either of those in a basic way.
Absolutely. So that is Thieves' Den from Daily Magic Games. 2 to 5 players, plays in under 60 minutes. Card drafting, worker placement, 2 of our favorite things. If you guys have any questions about the game, make them in the comments below. Subscribe to us, follow us on Twitter, like us on Facebook, and everything else that we do. And we will catch you guys next time.
Bye-bye.